Hi, everybody. I'm so happy you all came here in Putnam County. Thank you so much. Murphy's, right? McCarthy. Sure? McCarthy. People get mad at me. Yes. McCarthy's here in Putnam County. I've been here, what, 3 times before? 2 times before? I forgot how many times I've been here before. I'm very happy that everyone came. I appreciate it. Why in the world would I do this? Why would I come here again? On Veterans Day, because it matters. I'm wearing my cool Veterans Day shirt. It says, you can pick it up, by the way, on Zazzle. It actually says, support the troops, bring them home, and help them heal. Because that's what I really want for our veterans. Many of you know I am a veteran, and I have a sweet spot kind of for our veterans here, as many of you do also. What can we do, though, in New York State for veterans? What can you do? It's challenging. It's difficult to deal with veterans when most of this is a federal, situation. Most of it's federal. There are some things you can do for veterans in New York State at a governor level. Number one, you can help out companies that have affiliate programs. You might know what that is? You might know what an affiliate program is at a company? What is that? Tell me.
They actually help veterans get assimilated in public.
Absolutely. I'm sorry. I said affiliate. I meant affinity. Sorry. I said affiliate. You're right. He's right. I'm wrong. Yes, he's right. These are affinity groups. What that means is, for example, if you go into many companies, they'll have you check boxes when you come in. Right? Right? Are you this? Are you that? Are you this? Are you that? You check the box, and they know you're this thing, and then there's a group to help you move forward because you're this thing. It's very common. If you go back 10 years, almost no companies had a checkbox for veterans. So they had no idea if they had a veteran population in their company. There was no veteran affiliation. People coming back from overseas, and over half of all veterans, when they get their first job, when they come back from overseas, lose that job within a year. Over half. And we didn't know why. We didn't even know it was happening until the VA started picking it up and local groups started picking it up because there was no affinity group. Have an affinity group. So when you come on to this company, they have a checkbox. So you're a veteran. You are great. We have veterans at this company. Here are some people who've been here and been successful. They should help you out. Now you have an affinity group for that. What can New York State do? Very simple. You do that, you get a break on payroll tax. Just have the affinity group. Get a break on payroll tax. Hire veterans, get a 2-year break on payroll tax. Now all of a sudden you're bringing veterans in, you keep them for a couple years. Now they're not leaving in the first year. They're getting their resumes back in order, and they're feeling like they're home again. And that part matters tremendously. I'm going to say something that some of you may not like, but there are a lot of veterans who actually don't like to thank you for your service. I'm seeing head nod. There are many who don't. They don't get mad at you. They're not mad. No veteran gets mad because you say it. You can say it. It's fine. Don't get mad. But when you say thank you for the service, many veterans feel awkward. They don't know how to act. They don't know what to say, particularly if they lost somebody. Why? Because a veteran who's lost people overseas, but they weren't hit and they weren't lost, what do they have? They have survivor's guilt. Thank you. They have survivor's guilt. They didn't do enough. They didn't do enough. They didn't save that person. They didn't fix it. They didn't get hit. Why them? All types of problems. One of the reasons for PTSD, there are many reasons. That's one of them. Thank you for your service makes them feel like, did I do enough? Why are you thanking me? Feels awkward. So what do you say to some veterans that thank you for your service? You can say that. It's okay. They won't be mad. But if you really want them to understand you and them to know that you understand them, say something like, welcome home. I'm glad you're home. Glad you're back. Glad you're here. Something nice like that, making them feel like they're part of the community. That's what they want to hear. And if that vet happens to be a Vietnam vet, just saying the phrase welcome home lets them maybe get it, because the Vietnam vets never got a welcome. They never got a welcome. They never got it. At least our vets do get a welcome home. They get something, right? The ones today, Vietnam vets never got a welcome home. So give them a welcome home. They'll like it. It's a good thing to say. I want to bring them into our communities, back home. I want to put them back in, and that's one way. That's not enough. That's not enough. That's one way. The second thing we can do that'll help veterans at a state level, not a federal level, state level, is all the benefits that veterans get. And they get many of them. They get housing benefits and all types of benefits. Most of them don't use it. Before, most veterans don't even use it. And most of the benefits are actually very low. $500 here, $1,000 here, which is nice. I'd rather consolidate all of them, all of those benefits into one fund that provides medical insurance for veterans with mental health care. Can you imagine if veterans could just go to mental health care professional? Just go, not have to go to the VA. Not have to go to the VA. Some of you don't know, there are 22 veterans who commit suicide every single day in this country. Now it's higher. They don't have the stats yet. About 100 Americans commit suicide every day. So that's 22% of all the suicides in America are veterans. Veterans are less than 10% of our population. They have over double the rate of suicide from non-veterans. Are they getting help? How's the VA doing? Not so good. Not so good. You break your leg, VA's pretty good. Not bad. You break your leg, break your arm, VA does a decent job. Most of you have been to one of those decent job. You have other problem, you have a PTSD, TBI, you have an invisible problem. Here's a pill, come back later. Here's more pills, come back later. Here's a phone number, good luck. That's what you get. You think I'm making it up? Ask a vet, they'll tell you. They'll tell you. So instead, why can't the state have a fund that allows vets to just go act like it's a veterans insurance company for mental health? You do that, all of a sudden now vets get help in need here in this city. But I'm still not done. What if you were instead to say, you know what? What could we do that would make more veterans get help and feel better? End the SAFE Act. I know that sounds crazy, but I'm serious. Why? Because right now the SAFE Act makes all medical personnel report anything to the state. So now a vet goes and says, I'm feeling bad, I'm feeling tough, can you help me out? I'm using medical cannabis, I'm feeling suicidal. They have to report that to the state. The state will take that veteran's guns. The vets know this. They tell each other, don't you dare go get help. Don't you tell anybody. So they don't get help. And the SAFE Act. 3 steps you can do in this state within 3 months to set it up to actually support vets. And I rarely bring this up, but it's Veterans Day, so I thought I would. There are ways of making things better in our state, but they're always about one thing. You keep hearing me say this. It's about changing the environment. Changing the environment. Change the game, you get better players. Change the game, you get better results. Change the game, you get better players, and now better results. When we have a corrupt system, it encourages corrupt people. We have a better system, we get better people. We can change that system. That's critical. And that's for veterans. Hope that was good. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Veterans. But all of New York is not veterans, right? So other people like things too, and I guess they do. And of course they do. One thing you will find me always talk about is how do we fix things without just going other guy bad, right? If you happen to see our current governor, Her Majesty Queen Hopeful, we are very lucky, we are blessed that she actually speaks to God. Have you heard that? I didn't make that up. She said that, right? She said that. That's not me. She said that. She speaks to God. So awesome. We should be blessed that our glorious ruler speaks to God directly. Awesome, good for us. So she is going around the state telling us what's most important. She did it yesterday. Some of you might have seen her. She had a press conference yesterday and told everybody what's most important. You all know what is most important for you all? Yeah. Well, she knows best. She talks to God. Guys, stop. That's right. Of course she knows. Stop. So yeah, she knows. So she knows. What we care about more than anything else is COVID. Yeah, no one's saying anything. Yes. That's not the number one thing. Is COVID real? Of course it's real. Of course it's real. COVID is real. Of course. Is the number one thing on the minds of New Yorkers? No, it just isn't. I actually crossed this thing, all 62 counties, for the past 4 years in a row. I have meetings just like this, and I ask people questions all the time. I sit with them as I sat with all of you. I take questions as I always do. And here's the amount of times in the last 6 months that I've heard someone say COVID is the number one issue. 0. Thank you. You're correct. He made discoveries on mine. He's my hype man. Yes. All right. Been to a few. Yes. You have been to a few of mine. You have. Yes, it's true. Yes. 0. Not once. It's never even the top 3. Do they care? Yes. But it's never in the top 3. What's always high in some way, shape, or form, these top two things in some way: education and economy. Always the top two: education and economy. Now that taxes could go either way, but they're often tied to either education or the economy. But taxes are there too. Those are the top three. And the next one, believe it or not, is people leaving. People leaving. Is there anyone in this room who does not know, and ask again, who does not know someone who's left New York State? Anybody? That's embarrassing. By the way, no one's hand rose. Yes, that's embarrassing. Everyone knows someone who's left this state. And it keeps happening again and again and again. So education and taxes, those are, and the economy, those two are critical. So about inflation. Some committed inflation earlier today. Inflation too, also a problem. How do you handle that? So let me touch those three if I could. And I'll give you some ideas that you may enjoy. Some of them are radical, absolutely. But we have to have radical change to make actual change. I'll give you some non-radical and then some seriously radical. Some not so radical. How do I handle inflation? Well, if you put more money into the economy, what do you get? More inflation. So instead of putting more money into the economy, let's do the opposite. Let's put either more goods or more labor into the economy to deal with inflation. Will that solve inflation? No. Most of that is going to be at the federal level, sadly. Will it stop hyperinflation? Probably yes. How do we do that? Step number one, we take what we have now in New York State, all the licensing that we have, and we turn it immediately into credentialing. What does that mean? That means right now you need a license to do something. No worries. Instead, it's a credential that comes from the state. But if you want to do it, you can still do it. You just have to do it on a credential. Allowing more people to do more work legally. Allowing more people to do more work legally. But if they're not credentialed, what does that mean? For example, in New York State, some of you may not know this, you have to have a license to braid hair. I'm not joking. That license will wind up costing you about $20,000 the school you have to go to get that license. So what winds up happening? Literally, state thugs go into the cities, usually New York City, Upper Manhattan, Southern Bronx, but other cities too, and they then raid usually women of color hair salons, and then find and or arrest the people who are there because they're often doing it without a license. That's a common thing. They don't want to arrest you. It's a shakedown. It's a money grab. That's what it is. Right? So instead, let them be a credential. So you are a credentialed hair braider, and you are not a credentialed hair braider. Why would that matter? Because right now, if there is a lack of labor, everyone has to rush to the licensed professional. That licensed professional, plumber even a plumber, right? Licensed professional can charge whatever they want, which is fine, good for them. Show up whenever they want, good for them, but not good for us. That increases inflation. But now if I have uncredentialed people who can do it legally, well, now I can make a choice. I only want a credentialed person, so I'm going to wait. Or I'm going to pay the high price. That's what I want. Well, I don't care. I'll get my hair braided by my cousin. I'm fine for that. And you can go there instead. You've just added more labor to the market, and you've brought down some inflation. Does that make sense, everybody?
Yeah.
You can do that. Does that solve the problem? No. Does it soften the blow? Yes. It's something local can do to soften the blow. There are things you can do. Let me move on if I could. Please go ahead.
Would you apply that to a doctor?
To a doctor? This is a great question. Would I want someone to go to a doctor who is uncredentialed? Would you go to one? Is anyone here who would go to an uncredentialed doctor? Yes. A lot of them would, and they do. That's why I said it, and they do. People go to naturopaths all the time, homeopathic doctors all the time. All the time, they're already doing it. So why would I stop them? Yes. Yep. Here is my rule, my general rule on all credentialing. You ready? It's a good general rule. Would you ask your friend to do it? I'm serious. That's my general rule. Would you ask your friend to walk your dog? Would you? Yeah. Okay, a friend, not all your friends. Would you ask a friend? Yeah. There's a license for that, by the way. Dog walking license. Yes, there is. So why do I need that? Would you ask your friend to maybe, I don't know, unclog your toilet? Would you do that maybe? You might. Okay. Allow that person to do it without a credential. Would you ask someone to remove? Would you ask your friend to remove your gallbladder? Get a license. It's fine. Get a license. It's fine. That's my general rule. So your surgeon, no, right? Because my general rule is, would you ask your friend? If you ask your friend to do it, then why are you getting a license? If you want to go to credentialed professional, please go to one. I'm not, you decide. If you say, Larry, I don't care, these crazy people, I'm only going to my people, no worries, but let others. People raise their hand. Let them go. Why would I stop you? I'm not trying to become, if I run for governor here, I'm not trying to become the doctor in chief, right? I'm not becoming the dictator in chief, the I know better in chief. Sadly, I will admit, I don't talk to God directly. Apologize. Well, I'm sorry, he doesn't talk to me. Maybe that's a better way of looking at it, right? Yeah, I don't have a direct line. I don't. So I'm not going to tell you what is right for you. And even if I did, I don't have a right. I don't have a right. So my rule is, general rule is, would you ask your friend? Sure. Yep.
Operation. Somebody said, well, I'll do it for you.
Yep.
Right. So
100%. Let me cover both of those. 100%. I'll cover both of those. First piece. In this case, you would have to have a credential or not. So if you don't have a credential, I'd have to say I'm not credentialed. If you lie, that's fraud. That's a crime. Go to jail. Very clear. If you lie, that's a crime. That's fraud. Go to jail. So if I'm going to pretend I'm a licensed surgeon when I'm not, I'm going to jail, number one. So your second piece was, though, we need protection. So there are tons and tons of laws on the medical community now. Lots of them. If you're a hospitalist, you can't do home visits. That's a law. You can't get extra beds unless the state allows the need. You can't work in New York State unless you're licensed only in New York State, because those Connecticut doctors. I'm not joking. That's an actual law. Lots of them. I'll ask you, do people still make mistakes? All the time. Do people still screw up? And do people still die on the operating table? Yes. Every single day. It still happens. Doctors are human beings. They're not perfect. They make mistakes like anybody else, right? So I'm glad we have some protections, but to think because we passed several laws that people all of a sudden won't die or be protected doesn't mean anything. And I'll give you the perfect example if I could. There's a secondary medical industry right next to our normal medical industry. It's the non-essential industry, right? So there's the medical industry we have now in New York State, heavily regulated. We can't get a new hospital bed in this state unless the governor says yes. I'm not joking. We had 50,000 hospital beds before COVID. The governor got mad and upset about how we needed more hospital beds. It's his job to make hospital beds. Literally, his job. How many we have now? 50,000, no change. I'm not joking. We've made no change. We can't. It's against the law. He must, or now she, must authorize every new hospital bed. That's how it works. So tons of regulations all over the place. Who can work where, how they can work, all types of stuff. Next to that is a non-essential, which is things like LASIK eye surgery, cosmetic dentistry, body enhancement, things like that. Man, go, Larry, that's not real, medicine. Yeah, it is. People are going under. There's anesthesia, there's anesthesiology, there's blood loss, actual doctors. It's a serious, absolutely serious issue. Drugs, painkillers, all those things, pharmaceuticals, everything's involved. Everything's involved. I would ask you, where are all the deaths from those? Where are all the deaths from those? Are they so much higher than the others? But I go one step further. In every single case, price has gone down, service has gone up, and accessibility has gone up. Exactly the opposite has happened in our current system. Exactly the opposite has happened in our heavily regulated, government mandated system. Pricing has gone up, accessibility has gone down, and service has gotten worse. Anyone think I'm wrong?
No.
Now, one person, I'm right in every single one, right? I remember when I was young, if you've got some gray hair like me, you remember this. They used to use LASIK eye surgery, used to be done per eye. Anybody remember that?
Yep.
Yes, it was so expensive. It was so expensive, you had to do it per eye, you couldn't afford it. Now everybody gets it. When I was a kid, cosmetic dentistry was only for TV stars. Nobody else got that. Only TV stars got that. Everybody can get it now. Yet where's the government regulation on that? Compared to our mainstream, non-existent. I mean, it's still there, but relatively non-existent. There's no certificate of need. for someone who wants to do a cosmetic surgery. It's wherever people will take it. And somehow these facilities have figured out where to go. Huh, crazy. Somehow they figured it out. So I'm asking you to think about that situation. But I'll go one step further, even deeper. I live in New York City, as you guys know. And some of you know this. There is already a two-tiered system. The wealthy people get the best doctors who don't take insurance anymore. And some of you know the best doctors are going to places that don't take insurance anymore. Or they get bought up by a massive conglomerate. You've been watching that too. Yes, you have. You've been watching that too. All the hospitals get bought up, massive conglomerate. All the doctors get bought up. Now it's the so-and-so group, right? And the doctors shift and move. You don't know your doctor anymore. Whoever shows up is whoever the doctor is on. Now doctors are all employees. They don't own their practices anymore because they can't afford it. Why can't they afford it? The government regulation means they have to pay so much to keep their people going. They have to have large organizations to lobby the government to save them. That's why that's happening. But don't look at that. Instead, look at something else. Look at the private ones. The ones that take no insurance. Have any of you been to a doctor's office who take no insurance? Some of you have. Okay. Here's how it works. If you go to a doctor who takes insurance, particularly takes things like Medicaid, Medicare specifically, if he takes that, you walk into that doctor's office, there are 2 doctors and 4 administrators. There's more administrators. No, you know it. I'm not making this up. You see it. There's more administrators than doctors. They care more about photocopying your information. You fill out a form than anything else. Your appointment's at 2 o'clock. You get seen at 3:45. You know it. Why? Because they have to stack everyone up because how to get paid. So they stack up everybody and hoping that people don't show up. If they show up, who cares? We'll keep you late. You wait for an hour and a half, and you're seen by your doctor for maybe 5 or 10 minutes. And every single time you leave a doctor, it ends in one of 3 things: a prescription, a procedure, or a test. Every single time. Why? That's how they get paid. The system is set up for them to do that. The system's set up for you to always be sick or have a problem or get a text or something. Of course it must be. So of course you are. In that system, our current system, you're not the customer. The customer is the insurance company or the government. You're in the way. I'm not joking. Have you seen the rooms that you're in? Have you seen the waiting rooms? Yeah, they're horrible because they don't care. You're in the way. They don't care. You're in the way. You're not the customer. You're in the way. And that's how you're treated. But imagine when you go to one who isn't one, and you've been to one, you know. You show up at 2 o'clock, you get seen latest 2:05. You swipe your credit card or you give them a check and you go in. And when you go in, the doctor actually asks you questions like, how are you sleeping? How are you eating? What's your stress level? Blah, blah. And they might actually tell you, you know what? You're okay. What you need to do is you need to pick up this and that. Go to Walmart and get it. It'll be fine. It's cheap. Do that. That's what you need. Get some sleep, man. Doctor might say that. Why? He's already paid. He doesn't have to give you a test. He doesn't have to give you a prescription. He doesn't have to give you something. He's already paid. You see, the newest thing they're coming up with now is a thing called Forward. You might have heard about this one. This is the type. This is a concierge type where you pay a flat fee every month, and you can go to the doctor's office whenever you want. Usually, it's a small fee, like $5, something like that. That's it. Go whenever you want. You just pay a monthly fee. The fee right now for them is about $150 a month. You go whenever you need to. Their goal is for you to never show up. It's like a gym membership. They hope you never show up. They make money if you never show up. So their best interest is you being healthy. You're aligned now. Your current doctor, you need to be sick and sick a lot so he can buy a boat. Otherwise, he can't buy a boat. You need to be sick and sick often. Then he makes money. In this system, you need to never be sick. Just keep paying your $150. Get your friends to pay $150. He gets to buy a boat, and you're healthy. It's a better system. Who talks about that system? Nobody, only I do. Every other candidate will tell you, we just got to fund Medicaid, Medicare. That's what fund it more, fund it more, fund it more. That's what I'm going to tell you, fund it more. Meanwhile, it's a two-tier system. None of the elites care because they don't use your insurance. None of the elites care. They're not on your insurance. They don't care. None of them are on Medicaid, Medicare. They don't care if it works. They're not using the VA. They don't care if it works. None of them do. That's why they don't care. The people in New York City who are wealthy, they don't care what insurance you have. They don't own it. Doesn't matter to them. I care. I talk about it. They won't. They won't at all. So we have to make changes, and we can. So I went long on what you said, but I wanted to be clear where my head was. My head wasn't in, well, you gotta cut stuff. That's not where I am. I never said that. My head was, how do I get the poor and the middle class to have better access to better healthcare? That's what I want. I don't want to take healthcare away from the wealthy. I'm never gonna anywhere they're wealthy. They'll do what they want. They'll fly to Thailand and get cool stuff in Thailand if they want to. I don't care. I can't stop them. They're wealthy. It's fine. And I won't try to stop them. I can't stop them. Don't want to stop them. It's fine. But I can make a system to where people who are poor or middle class get a better system. We should be supporting this. And I'll give you an example of this if you'll go a little further with me on this one. We know already that Medicare, about how much people will pay. We know this, actuaries already know. So if you're in that, say for example, you're on one of those, they know with you, your height, weight, your age, you're gonna pay about $2,000 a year on healthcare. They know already. Actuaries figure this out already. It's how they make up pricing and stuff, you know. So when they give you a debit card, $2,000 on it. Good luck. Do what you need to do. But Larry, what if I have trouble? You're still on Medicare. If you run out of $2,000, you can always fall back to that. That hasn't gone away. The safety net is still there. But now you have $2,000 and you can just go, I can just go to a concierge service if you want to. I can just go to a doctor and swipe if you want to. You choose. Some people go, let me try these cool doctors, and you'll swipe, and you'll like it a lot. You will. I don't want to go back to Medicare. I like this. You'll start saving your money. You'll start thinking different about your healthcare. You'll start taking charge of your healthcare. But more importantly, doctors will see this. Go, wait a minute. I can get this guy to swipe the card. I don't have to have the 4 administrators. No, just gotta have a swipe. You're good. They'll start marketing to you. When they start marketing, their prices start coming down. You'll begin to bring the prices down, and the service will go up, and anyone can begin to have that service. As you change the whole frame of this, more people will go to that, and now there'll be direct care. And I want direct care. I want you to be the customer. If you're wealthy, you're the customer. If you're not wealthy, the government's the customer. But I'm still not done. Right now we have Medicare in New York State. And right now the payments, if you're on any of those right now, are very low. It's like $1 to go to a hospital copay and like $12 for emergency room, stuff like that. That should be tripled, at least, if not more. No, sorry, it's $1 and $3. Sorry, it's way cheap. It's way low. It's insanely low. It should be something more like $12 and $36. Well, Larry, people who are very poor can't afford $12 to go to the doctor. That's a lie. That's not true. The only person who can't afford $12 to see a doctor is someone who does not have an address. You don't have an address, you're already taken care of. You're homeless. You're taken care of, right? But if you have a home, you can afford $12 to go see your doctor. Why does that matter? Come on, you got a cell phone, your nails are done. You got Netflix. You can afford $12 to go to a doctor. You can. Not the end of the world. I'm serious. You can afford $12. What do you mean being forward? Now, why do I say that? Because when it's $1 to go to the doctor or $3 to go to the emergency room, you go to the emergency room. You go to the doctor whenever you want. And no one can ever collect on you. You don't even pay that. You might know this. The ambulance service in this state is a limousine service for the poor. I'm not joking. I'm not joking. They call them frequent flyers. That's the name. You know it. They call them frequent flyers. So someone goes, oh, I think I'm sick. Calls an ambulance and goes, drop me off by the movie theater. I'm not joking. That happens. That's a thing. And you know who pays for that? You do. So now we change. That's about $36. It should be $3 right now. It's $3. It should be $36. Larry, $36 to go to emergency room? How often do you need to go to emergency room? I'm serious. And if you're scared and worried about $36, then go to the doctor for $12. Take charge of your own health. We can do this. It can be done. It's not crazy. But now all of a sudden, the payments that we have at the state level, they're insane. You guys know we drop between $50 and $60 billion every single year on Medicaid, Medicare. Every year. That's more than most state budgets total. Total. More than most state budgets total we spend just on that. You want to fix your roads in your county? You can't, because you have mandates that make you pay all that money for Medicare and Medicaid. So make that happen, and all of a sudden you'll see the EMTs will be happier, more ambulance services. Because here's the worst part: What happens when you're really sick and you have to get to that hospital and you can't go because somebody wants to stop by and see their grandma? I'm not joking. That's a true thing. That actually happens because someone wanted to go to the mall. So they called an ambulance to go to the mall. You can't get to the hospital. Or worse, you go to the emergency room. You can't get an emergency room because someone is literally sitting in the emergency room because they have a cold. You've all seen it. I'm not making this up. You've all seen it. But no one will talk about it. When the last time you heard a candidate say this? Never. I'm the only one who's ever said this. You've never heard a candidate say this. And I'll say it right to your face. You fix this, it will change how we pay for all those things. It will change our budget. Our budget right now is about $220 billion. There are 20 countries and California with a higher budget. That's it. By the way, it's about 193 countries. So that means there's 170 countries on the planet with a lower budget than New York State. Think about that. There's 170 countries on the planet with a lower budget than our state. That is how bad we are. Florida, by the way, has more people than we have. Half our budget. And no state income tax. That's Florida. We're doing something wrong. We're doing something wrong is all I'm saying. We're doing something wrong, for sure. Yes, we're doing something wrong. So, but again, I'll say that. What does every other politician say? Other guy bad. Other guy bad. That's their entire thing. Other guy bad. So let me go to someplace I can look deep. Those are, I think, are reasonable. Oh, I'm sorry.
So what are your thoughts about like using funds for like more upfront, I guess, preventative measures for like public information for, I guess, maybe like healthier eating to get people not to even get there? Like, I love information about healthier eating and being better and being awesome. I just hate it coming from the government. Well, I love it. I just hate it coming from the government. Here's the problem. When the government has it, here's what they do. And we saw this during COVID. For those who don't know, I literally put out my COVID response in March of 2020. And it's still on my website. If you want to go on that website, it's on my Sharp Way YouTube page under a separate section which says COVID response March 2020. I put it out March 2020. It's not the perfect response. I didn't know everything. But even with what I said, if you had just done what I said, we had a better response we had now. And one of the things I said was the government has to be transparent. And if I was the governor in March or February, I probably would have known in January if I was the governor. In January 2020, what I would have said is, hey, everybody, COVID's coming. We're scared. I don't know what's actually the right answer yet. I'm unsure. Let me go online and tell you what I think is right. Here's what my people think is the right thing to do. We believe it's this, but we might be wrong. We think masks will work. Everyone thought that. We think that this will work. We think this thing will work. We believe it was going to work. Here's what we believe is going to work. I also would have allowed others to say so. Remember the great, is it Great Barrington? Is that right? Is that the right thing? The Great Barrington, what's it called?
Declaration.
Declaration, yes. That could go out too. Here's what they believe. And I would have let a private organization do it. There is one, if I remember right, it's called the Well Health Safety Seal. If I'm not mistaken, it's a private company. They decided what's right. Let all three be on the website and be transparent. I'm not sure. Here's what I think is going to work, guys. I'm going to send my inspectors out. And I send my inspectors out, and if your retail establishment follows our government guidelines, you get a government stamp. But that's it. I don't shut you down if you don't do it. I don't fine you if you don't. But I don't give you a stamp. I give you a stamp if you follow the government rules. And I allow you to follow other rules, and then go around and give you stamps for that too. Same thing applies though. If you lie, that's fraud. You get shut down and go to jail. That's a crime. You're not allowed to lie to your patrons. You tell them, I have the government stamp or I don't. And the patrons decide. The community decides. Do you want to go into that facility or not? You want to go in, go in. If you don't. You know what's going to happen in that community? We're going to find out what works real fast, don't we? We're going to find out what works real fast. And if your community shuts you down, I'm okay with that. That's your community, your customers, service your customers. That's not my problem. But I would never shut you down. Governor should have never shut anybody down. Governor should have allowed the communities to do what they felt was right and learn. We'd have learned within 3 months. Within 3 months, we would know. Because I had one rule, as I always have the same rule. You must have transparency. You must show me what you're doing. You would have seen in every single county what was working, what wasn't. You would have seen what's working in Brooklyn, might not work in Yates County. What works in Wyoming County, might not work in Erie County. And I'm okay with that. Whatever happens, happens. We figured this out. Within 3 months, we have real answers. And more importantly, we could change. I could say, we tried this, didn't work. I've changed what I think is correct. Here's now what I believe. And my stamp would change. We can't now. Some of you are getting upset, and I am too, about how some of the mandates now are not even realistic. There are people now who are being fired from their jobs, let go, because of a vaccine mandate, and they work at home. Yes, you're seeing it. They work at home. They don't go into the office, and they're getting fired for not getting a vaccine because the rules are the rules. Why would they? It doesn't seem logical. But let me tell you why it is logical, and it makes total sense. They're putting masks on children, literally in school all day. Masks in school on children all day. Yet people can be at a place like this with no mask. But children have to be masked all day. Makes no sense, you would think, right? It does make sense. I'll tell you why. Because when the government began what they said vaccines are the only answer, and they said masking will save your life. They said that, then they used force to enforce it. Once you use force, you can't go back. You can only double down. But if they instead did what I said, which is say, here's what I think is right, I'm not going to force you. I'm going to show you with transparency so you trust me, and give other people the opportunity to show them what they think so you'll trust them. If I then change because I realize I shouldn't be masking 5-year-olds in school, I can just go, no, don't mask them. I've changed. I've never forced you in the first place. But once I force you, how do I go back and go, oh yeah, all that pain I did, I shut your business down, I ruined your life, I made sure that your friends had a higher suicide rate, I made sure that your friends who were addicts couldn't get help and died from overdoses. Oh, I did all that stuff. Yeah, sorry. It doesn't work. So I have to double down. I have to triple down. Because once you use the violence of the state, you must. That's why they do. That's why these mandates make total sense. Even though you think they don't. They make total sense. If you understand the use of force, they make total sense. And I do. That's why I've never done that. Never. I don't have a problem with the governor saying she believes that you should vaccinate your kids. I have no problem with that. If she believes it to be true, she can say it. She can tell everybody. And if you guys believe it, you should do it. 100%. My problem is her forcing us. That's my problem. That's my problem. Does that make sense? Did I at least answer your question? I know it's a little bit long. I apologize. Yes. So anyway, I want to say, guys, I went a little bit long. I want to have some questions if I can too. So, guys, thank you so much for this. I appreciate it. Thank you all for coming. Thank you. Let me take any questions or comments from the room. And again, I have one rule on questions. Make it in the form of a question. It's the only rule. Everything else is fine. Yeah, sorry?
Are you on Jeopardy?
Yes, exactly. No, what I mean is I want to go, Larry, let me tell you about how I get that sometimes. Just ask the question, that's all. Yes. Any questions? Or I'll take comments too. Anybody? I have wowed you all. Yes, go ahead.
So I want to ask you about a federal issue that impacts us locally.
Okay.
Right now, we have a situation in the country. We have a Federal Reserve printing trillions of basically counterfeit currency to support these gargantuan, huge government deficits.
Money machine go brrr.
Right.
Yes.
They've created artificially low interest rates. Basically, they're at zero bound.
And they've been there for 10 years.
The insane situation where you have to pay somebody to borrow money from you.
Yes.
That's our sick, twisted, perverted world.
Yep.
Now, in New York, okay, that affects our taxpayers.
Sure.
It affects the pension system.
Heavily.
It affects the tax base.
Yep.
So my question is, given that the current fiat money system is a part of this Federal Reserve, this whole counterfeit scheme,
yep,
would you support revising legal tender laws to allow gold, silver, and Bitcoin to be legal?
I would. It's a problem with gold. Believe it or not, in New York State. New York State has some really weird laws that we have to work on with gold, but we could do it. I'm actually considering. I'll walk down this road and I just brought it up. I'm actually considering starting a New York State currency. And why would I do that? It is legal. Utah has one based on gold. I think South Dakota has one. I think it's based on gold. And I would either do it based upon gold or based upon cryptocurrency. I'm unsure which one. but I would do it either way. If I do it on cryptocurrency, you could call it a fiat currency. If you do it on gold, it's actually real currency. So you do it either way. The problem with the New York State is New York State has a law where there aren't any gold mines in New York State, because if you mine gold in New York State owns it. That's how it works. So if you find gold in New York, yeah, if you mine gold, Hoku comes out and goes, "Thank you very much. I'll take that." So yes, that's how that works. So in theory, we could probably borrow the gold or maybe buy it on time with a loan to get the gold and start our own currency. Now, why would I want to do that? So and to answer your question, yes, but there has to be a way of doing that would make sense. Just saying that is not going to work in New York State. So I have a plan to make that actually work. How do I do that? I create a currency that is specifically made for education. This is the education currency. What's called the New York Education Coin. New York Education Coin is a currency that is New York based, either crypto or gold. I'm not sure, Will, you're going to help me with that actually on the policy team. Decide what makes the most sense. It may be a privatized cryptocurrency, probably not public because it's probably too volatile. So it's probably not going to be that. But that's going to be used. And people will say, wait a minute, Larry. Problem with the currency is who's going to spend it? You want to spend dollars. You don't want to spend currency. You can spend dollars. Here's why. It's going to be used and given out by New York State for education. Education is a $60 to $70 billion budget item for New York State. I've just made a $60 billion market for it. That's why people will spend it. It's a $60 billion market. I've just made one, which means I'm only going to pay for education through that coin. That's it. It comes directly from Albany, goes out to each of the school districts. Each school district gets dollars based on how many kids they have. Boom, there's your money. Life is good. And you can say, Larry, people don't want to spend that money. No worries. We can transfer that money from the coin to dollars. Banks will do it. What do banks love? Transaction fees. Yes, they do. Banks love transaction fees. So banks can transfer the coin into dollars if they want to, and now they get a good nice transaction fee. So now teachers can get paid in dollars if they want to, but all vendors will have to take all their dollars, all their money in this New York coin. But they won't want to. It's a $60 billion market. Yeah, they will. They're not giving that money up. Of course they are. They'll take it. Now that currency begins to move. As that currency moves, if local people want to take it, they can. It's a New York State currency. It's valid in New York State. If you want to take it, you can take it if you want to. Might even have us take taxes in that currency if you want to. All good. Why would I do that? Because that will pull $60 billion out of a budget right away. Budget goes from 220 to about 160 off the bat. But more importantly, if that's how I pay for education directly from Albany, why do we need a school tax? I don't need it. Imagine school tax goes away. Yeah, the average New Yorker, about half of their property taxes cut by half. Yeah, it's radical. I know it is. But you give me another answer. You find another answer as our budget went from 190 to 220 and we lost 500,000 people. Our debt is over $500 billion.
And stimulus money.
And we got stimulus money and we still screwed it up because our budget deficit will be at least 60 billion this year. You tell me another way. My ears are open. My ears are open. But what I'm telling you is you do that, we'll validate gold, which is what I want. So people will find that to your point. We'll actually have education budget cut. We'll lose the money from the state, which means strings from the state and strings from the federal government go away. And our current system that happens right now in New York State, if you don't spend your money, you lose it. So at the end of the year, they waste all their money. That goes away. You don't spend your money, keep it. Change everything. And cuts property tax in half. When that happens, retirees stay. Rent stabilized so the youth can stay. The youth can stay, and the retirees can stay. They stop leaving our country. They stop leaving our state. So thank you for that. I went long, but thank you for that. Guys, any other questions or comments?
Well,
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes, if anyone wants food, the trays are there.
Oh,
So
we're gonna go, guys. Thank you guys very much. I appreciate it. Thank you all. Thank you. Food, sorry, food.